Good morning, guys. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here. I thought I'd share this recipe with you guys before heading out to a hike. I gotta get my fit on, right? All this eating is working its way on me. Anyways, here we go, guys. We're gonna make some seim this morning. It's a wonderful, tasty vegetarian dish, something my mom couldn't even force us to eat as kids growing up on the islands. Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. I hope you guys are enjoying the recipes. I've got my little straw hat on today. Thought I'd share some of my hats with you guys in the following videos. I do collect hats. If you're watching this on YouTube, please, above you're going to see the subscribe button. Click on it. It helps me to promote the site. Below in the comment section, leave your comments. And guys, remember, give me the thumbs up. Just below this, you're going to see the thumbs up or the like button. Click on it. Let's get cooking, guys. Just going to show you the ingredients we'll be using today for this wonderful vegetarian dish using seim. This is seim, and I guess it belongs to the bean family. These one here I got from an Asian store in Toronto, and it's not as thick like the ones we get in the Caribbean. These are really skinny, as you can see. The ones in the Caribbean are a bit wider and a bit thicker and more meaty. But this is what I have, so I thought I'd share this recipe with you guys with what I could source. We've got maybe about 1 pound of seim here. I'm going to use, I'm guessing maybe about half of an onion, a small onion. I've got 3 bird pepper here, chilies. You can use habanero or scotch bonnet peppers, whatever pepper you like. Remember, you can control the heat. If you're not into the heat, you can obviously leave those out. A couple cloves of garlic. In here I've got a heaping tablespoon of madras curry powder. Again, this is like a Caribbean blend. I'm not too familiar with the actual Asian or Indian blends, but the Caribbean blend is superb. I've got here a can, 5.6 ounces, fluid ounces, 165 millimeters of coconut milk. We're going to need maybe about 3/4, I'm guessing maybe a half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to also need some oil, maybe about a tablespoon of vegetable oil, as well as about 3/4 cups of water in the cooking process. These are the ingredients here, guys. What I'm going to show you next is how to prepare the seim, these beans here, for the actual cooking process. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse first because I don't want to wash it after, because we're going to be cutting it up and everything. It's going to be a bit harder to drain off. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to make this wonderful vegetarian dish like I said, and let's get cooking. This is how you prepare the seim for actually cooking. Now I'm going to grab one with a paring knife, a very sharp knife. I'm just going to trim the edge and work the knife along the edge of it to remove this sort of tough edge on it. I'm just going to do the same for the other side. Now remember, these are a bit old. I've had it in the fridge now for a few days, so they're a bit more tender, a bit more floppy than anything else. And then all you're going to do, cut it in half. So we've got a couple pieces here. We're just going to break them down like this. Now if you guys recall, earlier in the video I said in the Caribbean, they're usually a bit wider, maybe about this wide, and about 1/4 of an inch thick. This one here is very skinny. What you're going to do then, after you've trimmed it, let's pretend we've trimmed it. What we're going to do, we're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to slide the knife, because remember they're going to be a lot thicker, down the middle, so down this way, giving us 4 pieces rather than 2 pieces. Again, that's if you're using the bigger, the thicker seim from the Caribbean. These are from Asia somewhere, and I guess this is what I can use because this is what I can source. We're all pretty much set here now for the actual cooking process. Just wanted to zoom in a little bit and show you guys something here. As I mentioned a couple times now, the ones in the Caribbean, it's going to be a bit thicker, and you'll notice that here I did find some seeds. That is quite natural, and the ones in the Caribbean, you're going to find a lot more seeds. Please include those as well. They cook down very nicely. They add a lot more flavor to the entire dish. Something I forgot to mention to you guys as well. We're going to be adding a couple potatoes. I've got 2 small Yukon Gold potatoes, whatever sort of potato you like or you have in the fridge, feel free to use that. I just peeled them, gave them a fairly large dice. I've got a couple cloves of garlic, half of a small onion all cut up, as well as the hot pepper. I've got 3 chili peppers that I cut up here. And remember we said we're going to use some salt as well as the madras curry powder as well as the coconut milk. In the pan here, in a fairly deep saucepan, I have on a medium-high heat 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil heating. I've added half the onions as well as the garlic to the pan, and if you guys notice, the edges are starting to go brown now. This is when I'm going to add the curry powder, just bear with me for a second, to the pan. I'm going to give that a good stir. I'm going to turn on my heat to a sort of a medium-low heat because I want this curry to cook a little bit without actual burning. Here's where I'm also going to add the chili or the peppers as well. You may want to turn the fan on in your kitchen because by adding the pepper, it's going to become a very pungent or very strong scent, which may cause you to choke and cough. While this cooks, what I'm going to do is get maybe about 2 tablespoons of water ready, and I'm going to add it after a couple minutes to the pot here. I've now added a couple tablespoons of water to the pot just to help this curry cook a little bit. We don't want this curry tasting raw, any sort of gritty sort of way. I'm just going to bring that up to a simmer, let it cook down, burn off all the water, and then we're going to add the other ingredients like the seim, the potato, the rest of the onions, salt, and we're going to give it a generous dose of black pepper as well. You may notice that I added the curry, I cooked the curry down in the oil and then I added the water to it. It's going to become nice and thick now. This is when we're going to add the seim. But before I do that, I just want to make one comment. You may find some people when they're using curry powder, they make a sort of a slurry where they take a couple tablespoons of water, they add it to a bowl with the curry powder and they stir it around and then add it to the hot oil. This is just my way of doing it. Now that it's all fried down, I'm just going to add the seim to it. Add the potato. The rest of the onions. The salt. So we're going to add about a half a teaspoon of salt and some fresh ground black pepper. I'm just going to give that a good stir. And next up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the coconut milk, as well as about half a cup of water. I've added all the ingredients into the pot now. I'm just going to give it a good stir. The white in the middle here that you're seeing is the coconut milk. Give it a nice stir. Make sure everything's incorporated nicely. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it up back to a boil, which is pretty close to being right now. Put the lid on it. And then I'm going to turn the heat down so there's a gentle simmer. Allow that to cook. We're going to allow that to cook for about half an hour so everything gets tender, especially the potato and everything else. The seim has been cooking now for about half an hour with the lid on. It's been a gentle simmer all the way through. I've stirred it a couple times, maybe about 3 times I believe. And it's nice and tender now, but there's still quite a bit of liquid as you can see in the pot. So what I'm going to do now is turn up the heat and allow, excuse me, allow that liquid to burn off. We want this to be nice and thick. with no sort of runny gravy or anything like that. So the curry seim is all done now, guys. You notice most of the water has dried up. There's a nice thick sort of gravy with it. And in my plate here, what I have some bus-up shad roti, as well as some mango kuchela. It's a spicy condiment made with green mangoes, which are grated and dehydrated a bit, and then added some peppers and all these different spices. I will share that recipe with you guys in the coming months. The bus-up shad roti recipe can be found on the website at CaribbeanPot.com. There's also a video on here on YouTube. If you search bus-up shad or roti, or if you're watching this directly on the channel, you will see that recipe on there. I'm just going to go ahead and add some of this lovely curried seim to my plate here. And that's it, guys. I thank you so much for joining me on this recipe this morning. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave me your comments below. And don't forget to check out the website at CaribbeanPot.com for all your authentic Caribbean dishes.